As the Saints get closer to a shot at what would be their first 3-game winning streak in just shy of 3 calendar years. Wow. Really? Yes, really. Optimism is through the roof with Tyler Shough and looking more and more like a franchise-changing quarterback. But lost in the songs and the commotion and all the good feely times is how well the defense has played for most of the past 6 weeks. How much of this is real? How much will spill over into 2026? What do the Saints need most? Our go-to expert is here this morning as WWL Radio football analyst Mike Detillier is here to share his thoughts on the Saints' future. Meanwhile, we asked Mike what he thinks of Tulane's chances in the CFP against Ole Miss. Don't laugh out there. They have a chance. Come on, man. And what about Frank Wilson leaving for, wait, what? Where? Come on, man. Is that a big a deal as we think it is? Gabe is here as we look to start a new primetime streak with our pick for Thursday Night Football. Lots to unpack. Break out the eggnog. The Dattitude podcast starts now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Eggnog. Who drinks it? Gabe, raise your hand if you drink eggnog. He's not raising his hand. Does anybody drink eggnog anymore? Is that just the old? It's kind of went out with figgy pudding, I think. Eggnog. My wife hates it. The kids won't give it a shot. The only way I get any is if I go get some myself, and then I just like it enough to drink like 1 glass a year. So it sits in the fridge until the start of Carnival, and then we throw it out. You know what we never put in the fridge? Dattitude. Episode number 452, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, December the 17th, 2025. Happy birthday to my mother-in-law, Linda Slater. I don't think she's watching, but whatever, whether she's watching or not. Happy birthday, mother-in-law. I think she's 59 again or something along those lines. So I know she's going to have a great day in Panama City Beach, Florida. And she'll be on her way. She's spending some time with us over the holidays, as she does each year throughout the holidays. So we say happy birthday to mother-in-law. Who am I? I told you my mother-in-law. If you don't know who I am, I'm Jim Derry. 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of the Dat family. You know, you can be a bigger part of the Dat family. Not just commenting on today's show, because that's what makes us different than everybody else. We take comments. You talk to us. We talk back to you. Even when Mike's on later on this afternoon. I said this morning. I've been up for a while, so it's this morning. Whatever. If you subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page, or YouTube channel, I guess it's not page, it's a channel. I still get mixed up with the lingo. Anyway, join the YouTube channel, and you can be a part of the Dat family. I'm tongue-tied this morning. You can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr. and via email. And I do get plenty of email. Jim at jimderry.com. Although I think some people are still sending stuff to my old email address. I'm just saying. If you send something to my Advocate account, I'm probably not going to get it, and I'm almost certainly not going to respond. Just saying. Because some people ended up bonding me later on. Oh, yeah. Different address. Again, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube page, whatever you want to call it. What is on today's show? You know what is on today's show. And if you are, as long as you can see this screen, you know Mike Detillier is coming on. We always have a lot of fun with Mike. He's been coming on about once every 6 to 8 weeks or so. I had to look last time he came on. I'm like, oh, yeah. He came on like twice in a week or something like that. When Brian Kelly got fired. Brian Kelly got fired. Remember that? Seems like a while ago. So he'll be on this morning. We're going to be talking about all sorts of stuff. We're going to be talking about the Saints, LSU, and Tulane. I want to ask him about LSU specifically, about Frank Wilson. I think it's a big deal. Gabe doesn't think it's a big deal. I want to know what Mike thinks. I think as far as New Orleans recruiting goes, it's a huge deal. But, and yeah, should they be able to keep up with the New Orleans recruiting? Yes. But Frank Wilson was a conduit to a lot of the recruits in the New Orleans metro area. Again, we'll ask Mike for his expertise and see what he thinks. Tulane, their chances in the CFP, we'll see if Mike thinks they have realistic chances. Because one of the reasons why we like Mike is not just because of his accent and the way he talks. Of course, we love that. And not just because he knows everybody. Mike Detillier knows everybody. He's always got the insight and isn't afraid to share the insight. But Mike tells it like it is, and that's what we do on the show. We tell it like it is if you're new here. We don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not going to tell you, Tyler Shough's going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's not going to be the next Drew Brees. There is no next Drew Brees. We don't say that here. I know that people want to believe that, and it's funny because 6 weeks ago, half the Saints audience didn't want Tyler, or maybe 8 weeks ago, half the Saints audience still thought Spencer Rattler was the best choice, and the other half couldn't wait to see Tyler Shough, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts. And now it's like, I don't know, the last few Rattler stragglers have just kind of disappeared, except for the trolls we get every now and then. But I mean, we still tell it like it is. Okay. I'm still going to say, can he be the future at quarterback? I think there's no question that he's going to be the short-term answer, which means, and when I say short-term, I mean go into 2026, but that doesn't mean he's going to be the answer for the next 3, 5, 10 years. He could be. We'll ask Mike what he thinks about that. Are we getting too fired up? Who has seen this? Who has heard the Shough song? Get shucked tonight. Have y'all seen that song? I meant to download it and put it on here and give them some pub, but apparently this has been going around for over a week now, and I just saw it last night. I'm always late to the party. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's catchy. It got stuck in my head last night. I was going to sleep. I'm closing my eyes. I'm trying to go to sleep, and that's all I heard in my head. It doesn't take a lot to get stuck in my head, but it did. So anyway, Gabe, no, your Shuckhold nickname is not. No, it's not catching on. You got to keep working on that. This is before we move on, it's the last regular. I want to give you some programming notifications. This is the last quote unquote regular Wednesday show of the year. If you're a regular, you know that on Monday we have Mono E Monday. We talk to you, you talk back to us, and that's it. We don't have any guests. Friday is our Pick'em show, and Zach comes on and we preview the upcoming Saints game. And in this case, we'll be previewing the Saints game, and we'll spend a lot of time on Friday talking about Tulane and CFP. And then Wednesday is our guest day. Wednesdays when we have a guest on the show, but this is our last guest of the year besides Zach and the Pick'em crew. They both count as guests, but it's our last regular guest Wednesday of the year. Next week, Christmas Eve, I decided not to do a show. People are going to be spending time with their families. They're not going to be watching the Dattitude podcast. And I was going to do a best of show. I'm going to save the best of show for New Year's Eve. So New Year's Eve will be a best of show. I'm going to put a compilation together of the best shows of 2025 and maybe little snippets. I think I'm going to go month by month. It's going to be almost a history lesson of what happened here in and around New Orleans. It's going to be, and it sounds like you remember everything, but you don't necessarily remember how it went. Of course, in there will be my special Saturday show when Derek Carr decided to, yes, I said Derek Carr land, sorry. When Derek Carr up and left. And, looking back on it now, that might be the best thing that happened to the Saints all year, except for Tyler Shough. And look, I had to eat a crow po' boy on the air on a Saturday morning. Was it Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon? I don't remember. But, yeah, so that'll be in the compilation. We're going to have a lot of fun with that show. So no show next Wednesday, and then a best of that. It will be a recorded show that will be coming up on New Year's Eve. And that one's probably only going to be on YouTube and Facebook. It will not be on X. Breaking news this morning. Not really that much. It happened. The news broke early this morning, came out last night. Tua Tagovailoa benched. Coach Gucci is benching Tua. That is a man, and again, I know that if Dolphins fans are like hating on Tua, when you bench Tua for Quinn Ewers, that just reeks of desperation. Aren't you glad that the Saints have hit their nadir? I like to use that word every now and then. And they're moving on up. They don't have to bench their quarterback that they're paying millions and millions of dollars to for Quinn Ewers. I'm sorry, but Quinn Ewers. Prove me wrong, Quinn Ewers. But y'all know what I think about some of this rookie class that just came out. It ain't good, okay? I think Chuck's going to be the best of the bunch. Yes, better than Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart, I don't know if that dude can stay upright. He's on concussion, what, number 3 or 4? Jackson Dart is a couple of big hits away from being out of the NFL. But anyway, this rookie class of quarterbacks was not very good. Let's just be honest. And Quinn Ewers was one of those that isn't very good. So to bench Tua for Quinn Ewers, you're like, please don't fire me. Please, I won't be able to buy any more Gucci. He gone. We'll see what happens to the Dolphins the rest of the year. In the bowl season, it is. I think it already started. If it did, I'm sorry if I didn't notice. But I went and looked at today. Here are the bowls that are today. This is why bowls are stupid. I'm sorry. I know that I'm not in the majority when I say that. Bowls are stupid. I mean, you got to be a sicko or a degenerate or both to watch the Cure Bowl. Old Dominion versus South Florida at 4 p.m. this afternoon in the Cure Bowl. What? And then I don't even think Gabe's going to watch this one. Only UBN's going to watch this game. I mean, they might have like 8 viewers. The 68 Ventures Bowl tonight. Ooh La La is playing Delaware. Ooh La La versus who the hell's going to watch that shit? Come on, man. If that's not enough to make you think there are too many effing bowls games. Here you go. Here's tomorrow. The Xbox Bowl. Missouri State is playing Arkansas State. I'd rather play Xbox. I haven't touched an Xbox in probably 20 years. Oh, and don't forget about the Myrtle Beach Bowl tomorrow night. Oh, everybody's been waiting for the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Oh, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Oh, the Myrtle Beach Bowl. I don't forget. Kennesaw State versus Western Michigan. I'd rather watch the Chiefs play the Colts. I mean, today's Chiefs, today's Colts with Minshew versus Old Man Rivers. Yeah, that's what I'd rather. Oh, my God. Jesus. Anyway, we got some love. We got some super stickers in the chat. Charles Mangus donating $5. We thank you so much, Charles Mangus. And UBN, he's donating to the show. You can do it. You know how to do it. Even though I called him a degenerate and a sicko, yes, he bet on both gold bowl games today. Well, I mean, if you're betting on both bowl games, I'm glad you have $20 left over to donate to the Dattitude podcast. Thank you so much. 20. I mean, if you're betting on these bowl games, call the number. Call the number. I'll find it for you. I'd be happy to. Cedric Bolo, good morning. Looks like we found our quarterback, so we can use our early round pick on something else or trade it and get defensive to go with young. Yeah, we got to get. I hope they get younger for sure. Good morning, Charles, and thank you again. Thank you for the super chat. Happy Hump Day. He lost power 15 minutes ago. He's on a cell outside in the patio. We're glad you could find a way to watch us. Gabe says, by the way, he watched Kent State versus Merrimack early this year. I'm not discounting your sicko tendencies. It's the Conference USA versus the MAC. Who gives a damn? I'm telling you, I would rather play Xbox than watch the Xbox Bowl, and I don't have a clue how to play Xbox. But I would rather do that. Nobody's watching that crap. You got to be just sick. You being happy hump day. Brian S. Steve, good morning. How big of an issue do I expect Frank Wilson going to I can't even believe I'm saying that. Frank Wilson to Ole Miss. Yeah, I know. That worries him a lot. Don't know if he's making. I'm going to ask Mike in just a few minutes what he thinks. He's in the green room already. He'll be on in about 3 or 4 minutes. I think it's a big deal, especially when you're talking about keeping players from the New Orleans area going to LSU. I think that's where it becomes the biggest deal. Mr. J. Hamilton says, here we go. Can the Saints make a leap this Sunday? It would be their first 3-game winning streak in 3 years. That is disgusting. They haven't won 3 games in a row. The last time they finished a 3-game winning streak was January 1st, 2023. That's awful. Apathy. Frank Wilson is a great recruiter, but his on-the-field coaching has not been stellar. His running back rotations have been annoying all season long. He's not a head coach. Who cares? I mean, and I know you're talking about him as a running back coach, but come on, man. First of all, Frank Wilson wasn't necessarily here for his coaching skills, although I still think he's a good coach. He's here because he's the best damn recruiter in the United States of America. That's my opinion. Earl's Picks, good morning. Tom, happy hump day. Rob likes eggnog. I'm just saying, I don't know if anyone under the age of 40 even kind of drinks eggnog. I'm telling you, it's going the way of figgy pudding. Good morning, Mr. J. Hamilton. I buy the smallest thing. I buy the pint or whatever it is, and I drink 1 glass of it, and then it just sits there, and we throw it out because no one else will drink it. Musette, good morning. Epcot has a great frozen eggnog drink. I don't remember the last time I was at Disney during Christmas time. It's been probably 30 years, but I would try it. Tom says eggnog and Bailey's is good. I've had that before, but it's been a long time. UBN says Aunt Mabel's eggnog with homemade fruitcake is always his go-to. All right. Well, you kind of got me. I don't know what to say about it. A-Town says he drinks his eggnog cold. Well, I mean, is there another way to drink? You can't drink warm eggnog. That's just nasty. What are you going to do? Put it in the fryer? I don't know. Tom, thank you so much for the $10. It took you a minute to find the contribution icon. We thank you for finding it. We thank you for donating. Thank you so much. Happy holidays to you as well. I got to get to the sponsor of the show because Mike's waiting and we got to get rolling here this morning. A couple more before I get moving, and we'll come back to the comments. Mark wants to know, am I going to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tonight? I would rather do that than watch the Xbox Bowl or the Cure Bowl or whatever other bowl. I actually like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I'm not going because I haven't been home a lot lately at night. I've been doing a lot of freelance work. And tonight, honestly, I'm having dinner at the table with the family for maybe the first time in 2 weeks. That's what I'm doing tonight. And I'm looking forward to it. Brian Cavett, good morning. You know my thoughts already, but one question he wants to ask Mike. Okay, we will ask him. Do they need an edge at number 1? My answer is no, but that's my answer. His top 4 needs are a big-time wide receiver / tight end, edge, DB, or running back. Well, that sounds pretty logical. All right. Before we get to the rest of the show, it's time to get rolling here. Let me tell you about my friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you or someone you know. It's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden. He will start by scheduling a complimentary evaluation from their offices, either on Poydras Street, you'd rather that one, right? Or in Lafayette, where they're all watching the ooh la la in the bowl game tonight. From there, you will be some of them anyway. From there, you'll be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? Yeah, the rest of your life. But don't spoil it for everyone else, all right? We'll tell you later. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. One more piece of business before we get to Mike Detillier, and it's my friend Joe DiStefano. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all, and with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. All right, everybody, let's get this show rolling. We're going to start off with Tulane, but first I want to introduce my friend Mike Detillier. If you don't know him, you've been living under a rock, or you live in Alaska and it's just dark all the time and cold and whatever. But we thank you for being here on the show anyway. Mike, what's going on this morning?
I'm fine. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you inviting me on.
Absolutely glad to have you here. It's been a little bit. We haven't talked since LSU fired Brian Kelly, and so much has happened since then. We're going to get to LSU in just a minute and talk about the Saints, but I want to ask you, I want to start off with Tulane just for a minute here first, and I want to get your, obviously, Jon Sumrall, he's staying until Tulane is done. Does Tulane have a realistic chance to beat Ole Miss this Saturday in the college football playoffs?
To be honest, no. I think, it's a personnel mismatch. You can say, well, Lane Kiffin won't be there. All I know is Trinidad Chambliss and Kawan Lacey and everybody else will. So I think it's a closer game, certainly, than the first game. And, Ole Miss is a talented team. This is not the team that I thought would be in this spot. I thought it would have been a year ago. I really think the 2024 team was a super talented team that came up short in a couple of games. When you lose to Florida, when they were just struggling to survive, and then Kentucky at home, but they were a really good football team. And how they lost to LSU in Tiger Stadium is still amazing to me. But I think Ole Miss will take care of business. And, I'll go back a long ways with Pete Golding when, he's a Louisiana guy. He was coaching at Southeastern. And Pete heavily recruited Louisiana for Coach Saban at Alabama. When you think about all those guys that left at that time in the state to go to Alabama, the guy recruiting them was Pete Golding. And I think he's done a pretty good job. We'll see how he fits into the big room of a head coach. That's a lot different than being a coordinator. We've talked about with different coaches, but I think, to be honest with you, Ole Miss will take care of business against Tulane.
Yeah, I'll have my official prediction on Friday. It's going to be super hard. It would absolutely be
turnover. That
turnovers
would be one thing that could kind of condense this game pretty closely. But all I know is that talent level at Ole Miss is pretty good. It is really good. I got to give Kiffin a lot of credit. He retooled that defense extremely well. Second string quarterback ends up being basically the SEC player of the year in what he's been able to do. Kawan Lacey was a backup running back at Missouri. And look what he is today. And they're explosive on offense in a lot of different ways. So turnovers can always equal up and give you a chance. But I look for Ole Miss to win this game. I think the real mismatch is James Madison traveling to Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, that's not going to be pretty.
And Dan Lanning.
That might
get ugly fast.
Yeah, I don't like that. That's going to be super ugly in my opinion. But we'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened. But, the one good thing that came out of Duke winning in the ACC championship game is it got Tulane to go to Ole Miss instead of Oregon, because Tulane, I at least give Tulane I'm not going to say 0.0. I'm not going to say I'm predicting Tulane to win, but I think they had the slightest of slight chances to win. Saturday. Had they gone to Oregon, I would have said 0.0. That Tulane would have no chance to win in Oregon. That's my opinion. I think Oregon's one of the Oregon. It would not surprise me at all if Oregon won the national championship. That's how good I think that they are.
Well, we'll see how the quarterback ends up playing, because I think that's always a key. I was talking to Coach O probably about 2 weeks ago, and we were just talking about, because he's been in so many of these national championship
I saw him last Friday
runs, and he was telling me, I think the big difference, he said, if you want to pick games, look at the teams that are the most physical teams. He said that's the winner. That's going to be the winner. He said when it comes down to these sort of, and this was, I think, the day actually of the championship games. And he was like, that's going to decide today, because he thought Georgia was the more physical team against Alabama. He thought Indiana had a really good shot, and because I picked Indiana, but he's like, I think you got a shot there because Indiana can match physicality with Ohio State. And, like Texas Tech, what's been the big difference this year? When you think about Texas Tech of years ago, you think about them throwing the football. Man, look at that defense this year. That front seven is really good. Yeah. And it gives them a legitimate shot to have more than one W up on the board in this playoff series. So I do think the more physical teams end up winning, but you got to have really good quarterback play. I think those two elements sort of connect the dots, and when you're talking about in the playoff run.
Yeah, I saw Coach O Friday night at the Prep Classic, and look, I gave Shough almost a 0.0% chance to win. They didn't win. They had one of the craziest. I've been doing this job for 35 plus years, and I don't know that I've ever seen an ending like I saw in the Superdome on Friday night. But anyway, I saw Coach O there, and he looks good, man. He looks like he's loving life right now. Does he want to coach anymore, Mike?
Oh yeah, but he will be back coaching. No, okay. he will be back coaching somewhere in 2026.
Okay, well, I can't wait to see it, because
just put it that way. He will be coaching somewhere in 2026.
College football needs Coach O on the sidelines, because it just does. I mean, in my opinion, it just does. All right, moving on to Coach O's former employer. Who knows? Maybe future employer. You never know. The LSU football Tigers, and obviously the big question this morning, Mike, is the impact of Frank Wilson leaving the Tigers and going to, oh my God, Ole Miss, really? But just give me, is it as big a deal as I think it is?
This is not a surprise, because I knew that Lane Kiffin wanted Kevin Smith to be his running backs coach.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so that would have taken, I think he was given an offer, but was more in recruiting. And I think Frank still wants to coach, still wants to be a running backs coach. This, in watching what's going on between Ole Miss and LSU now, it's like watching a blockbuster trade between two Major League Baseball teams. Everybody's kind of swapping players, swapping coaches, and wait till the transfer portal opens. Then you're going to see a lot of swap of guys going to Ole Miss guys going to LSU. This is not a real surprise. I think it does leave a void in the connected dots today in the state of Louisiana, because Frank Wilson was as connected to Louisiana high school coaches and players more than anyone that I could think of. His recruiting exploits have been very good. But in today's world, what talks Benjamins.
Yep.
I'm talking about money.
Yep.
So you still want to have that connect dots to find out about players and to have good info. But really, money is what catches everybody's eye. And so it's not a surprise to me. And when you hired Lane Kiffin, you kind of gave him carte blanche to hire who you wanted,
for sure,
who he wanted to bring in. There may have been caveat in that. But other than that, I think he was given kind of full autonomy to hire who he wants. And I knew he wanted to bring in Kevin Smith, and that meant that Frank wouldn't have an on-field job. And, Frank's coached at Ole Miss before. He coached there with Coach Orgeron. And he coached 1 year at University of Tennessee with Lane Kiffin and Ed when they were there for that 1 year in Knoxville. So, nothing surprises me anymore in coaching. I'll be honest with you, Jim, nothing at all surprises me in the world we live in.
It's the carousel that we watch, and just some people that you think might never go a certain place, they do. They leave. I mean, if you would have told me Frank Wilson was leaving, I wouldn't have been surprised at all because of all the reasons you just gave. But to go to Ole Miss, I mean, that did surprise me. So it's just interesting going forward. What do you think is anybody going to even care about the Texas Bowl, Mike? I mean, give me the reason why I shouldn't be putting a mortgage payment on Houston, just whipping LSU's keister, because I can't see LSU caring at all in this game. I don't even know who's going to play quarterback.
Man, I sort of agree across the board with it. And I get asked a lot in doing shows, not only locally, but nationally, who is the team that you think will be Texas Tech next year in 2026? Right. I always tell them Houston. You look at the coach and what he's been able to do there, his recruiting base. Man, City of Houston got a lot of folks there, and a lot of people that have maybe left and go somewhere else and come back. They do have a lot of money. A lot of money has been spent on Houston basketball. But man, yep. I think it's starting to pour in for Houston football. I think Houston is on that kind of launch pad to be next year's version of Texas Tech. Because of all the things there. And I look at it, 9 of their 11 starters on offense, transfer portal people.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of guys in the state of Texas. And I just think Willie Fritz is going to kind of rebuild and that program at a level that he couldn't take Tulane. I think he's got that opportunity now in this world with money, with talent all around him. The academic standards aren't at that super high level like it is at Tulane. I look for Houston to win and win big against LSU. I agree with you. Totally, Jim.
I mean, I don't know how you don't. I mean, and by the way, one of the Houston residents is in our green room helping us out live from Houston, Texas, this morning and just about every morning. Look, I don't know that LSU's just gonna not. I don't know how they even care. Not saying that Houston's like this is the best thing ever. They're going to Texas Bowl, but you're playing there. It's like playing in the New Orleans Bowl almost. I mean, I just don't see what LSU's impetus to win is. And I mean, who's left in the running back room? Who's playing? Who's going to be the quarterback? Who cares? I mean, it's the defense. It's just, I don't know. I just think it's going to be a mess, and I think Houston's going to roll all over LSU. So we'll see about that going forward.
Yeah, and I've got 2.5 hours of pregame, so it matters to me. I got to do that. But other than that, I understand why a lot of people the Houston Bowl again? Now, for LSU, a lot of that has to do with what we talked about, recruiting.
Yeah.
You get to spend some time there. There are people you want to connect the dots with. I remember from Coach Miles telling me this, and also Coach O, they have the biggest LSU kind of fan base outside of Louisiana than anywhere. And it is huge there because of the oil and gas industry, a big part of it. So I understand why you would want to go there and play. But I just think the Cougars right now are a more focused football team. They can match LSU physicality. They have a better quarterback than what LSU has.
Yeah.
And I know Coach Fritz won't let them get strayed.
No.
You don't know what you're going to catch here with a team. Where's their focus? I do know the focus is going to be with the Cougars.
Yeah, now that Frank Wilson's leaving, I mean, how much is he even going to care? I mean, this is his last duty wearing purple and gold before he moves on. So I just don't see that there's going to be a lot of care anywhere. And I got to be honest, I'm surprised this line hasn't moved from it's been stuck on 3 since basically it came out. I think it opened at 2.5 and quickly moved to 3, and it's been stuck on 3 ever since. But I don't see how this line doesn't move before the bowl game goes forward. Lastly, in college football. I want you to, and I meant to bring this up before, but just talk a little bit about, and it probably should have the Tulane slide up. In fact, I'll go back to the Tulane slide, but talk a little bit about Jon Sumrall and what do you think he's going to be able to do at Florida that Billy Napier couldn't?
Win big.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, he's going to win, and he's going to win big. I've been around a lot of coaches. And I do a weekly show with Coach Sumrall on Tuesday. We have our Tulane Tuesday segment. And I've never seen all coaches are a bit aggressive, okay, and kind of hyper aggressive. He's at the elite level, and he is so focused on everything. And he will be able to recruit. I think he's an outstanding recruiter and developer of talent. I think one of the things with Coach Napier, he got away from what won for him at University of Louisiana with the Raging Cajuns. They were a power football team offensively, 3 backs most of the time. They pounded you, man. They kept hitting you. And then, okay, you start to bring the safeties up in the box, and then he'll throw the pass over the top. They got away from all of that. I always thought their defenses played pretty well. And, man, they got some talent on defense because a lot of those guys end up in the NFL. I just think it was never a really good fit. He went on a nice run late last year. And that was, I think, a lot having to do with DJ Lagwell really played well down the stretch. He was El Stinko this year. I mean, he didn't play well at all. But I thought he had the backfield that he was looking for. He was too deep, and he had a third guy that he could have used. He got away from that, and he became hard-headed. The worst thing in the world with a coach. Okay, turn over the play calling duties to somebody else. No, I'm not going to do that. Come on. You kind of set yourself up for the guillotine with that. And so one thing with Jon Sumrall, he doesn't call the defensive plays at Tulane. He won't call them at Florida. I think he's a fantastic CEO, manager of guys, and he's an old school coach in a young body.
Yeah.
That's a Pete James line.
Yeah, he kind of is.
Pete worked with him at Kentucky, and he had told me that he said when he first got the job, he's like, Mike, he's going to win. He's going to win big at Tulane. He said, even more so than Willie. And I'm like, how could he? And he was like, watch, I'm telling you. And man, Pete was right on it. And Pete had the line to me. He's an old school coach in that young man's body. He's an old school coach, but he said he can communicate. The most impressive thing with him is how he embraced the NIL transfer portal era. He understood it. And so before the season, we had him on kind of semi-weekly even before the season started. I told him, I said, Coach, man, you don't really have a quarterback. This was before Retzloff transferred. You have a quarterback. You lose your star running back. 3 of your top 4 receivers graduated. You lose your tight end in the transfer portal. I think 4 of your top 5 defensive backs, those 4 guys all went to a camp or they were drafted or signed as undrafted free agents. Man, how the hell are you going to get to double digits? He's like, well, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure we double digits. And then he said, I'm going to tell you a story. He said, we had so many new guys working out that I bought shirts with their names on it in the back. so I didn't call him by the wrong name when they were working. And we got a good laugh about it and everything. But he was serious. But he did tell me, I think the strength of this team is we got 10 defensive linemen. We can rotate on a 3-man front. He said we won't be as good in the secondary, certainly, than you were a year ago. But he said, if we can figure out the quarterback spot. And I think, I think he knew maybe something was going to happen with Retzloff, and he had a connection with him.
Right.
He tried to recruit him when he was at Troy. Maybe it could work. And, other than the two really bad games, the Ole Miss game, they didn't even seem to be in that. And then go to UT San Antonio, they got skunked there.
Yeah, they really did.
He had this team ready to play to get to 10 wins. It's amazing to me with this squad, the way in the world of college football where you can go out and regroup a team to replace all of that in one sitting is difficult. And he was able to make it work.
Yeah. And, you brought up DJ Lagway, so there is one more thing. But, this morning, and Gabe typed this in. I never talked about it, but breaking news this morning, On 3 reporting that Colin Hurley's leaving LSU. He's going to the transfer portal. So now Van Buren is the only scholarship quarterback on the roster of the moment. Is DJ Lagway a possibility for LSU?
I think LSU's next quarterback is on the Ole Miss roster today.
Okay. I
think it's either going to be Trinidad Chan or Austin Simmons. So we go to Manning Passing Academy. This is like 2.5, maybe 3 weeks after I've had knee replacement surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still walking with a cane at this point. So my producer, Charlie Long, he said, Mike, I'm going to help you out. So we would go from place to place and go do interviews. And we interviewed Kate Klubnik. He was the first guy. And when he first saw me walk, he was like, what's going on? So I had to explain to him. We got Sam Levitt, the quarterback who was at Arizona State. Now he's in the transfer portal. So Charlie was, where else you want to go now? Because we were going to catch Nussmeier and Arch later. And I said, that guy. And he's like, who is that? I said, Austin Simmons. He's like, well, why are we going there? And then here, I don't know who he is. I was like, hey, he's the quarterback at Ole Miss. You will find out real quick. I know who's coaching him. So we went to interview him, and this big kid, left-hander. And, man, I saw him throw the ball in some of the practice sessions. They got like smoke coming out the other end, the way he was throwing it. And he told some stories. Hey, I'm 19 years old. I've got a college degree. I was like, 19 years old. He's like, yeah, I graduated at 16. I got my degree. And so I'm focusing in. He's a former baseball player at Ole Miss. And so Deuce tells me, Mike, if I was his dad, he would never play football because he can throw a baseball. He'd be playing on the Ole Miss baseball team full time and in the majors. But so impressed with Austin. So I think LSU's next quarterback will be off that Ole Miss roster. Either Chambliss for a year or Austin Simmons.
Well,
because of that connection. Different.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops over. Yeah, and we'll probably find out over the course of the next month and a half. I would imagine. All right, moving on. It's time to talk about the resurgent. That's even weird to just say it when I put these two words together. The resurgent Saints. The New Orleans Saints have won 2 in a row. Mike, for chance to win. I said it earlier, to win 3 in a row for the first time since New Year's Day 2023. That's 3 years for people with Shaw math like myself. That is a long time to not win 3 games in a row. And people are getting fired up again about these Saints.
It goes to show you what a young, talented quarterback does to a franchise. It's battery cables to the battery, and it has juiced this area. I think it has given this team a little sense of confidence that guy that guy can do it for us. And when you hear the veterans say it, you know, hey, you got something there. And, we all knew about the physicality part with him, his size, his arm strength, his ability to get the ball in tight windows. What I think no one thought was how he can maneuver around the pocket so well, because you really didn't see that. And they got guys now that, oh, I saw it. I saw it. When did you see it? You didn't see it last year at Louisville, because I think one of the things Jeff Brom did very well was I think he protected Shough for his own good. He did a little bit of running at Oregon and at Texas Tech, and it did get him injured, so to speak. So that to me is a surprise, but he's so mature. He understands the game very well. You're still going through the growing pains with him as a player. You get that. You're going through the growing pains with him. But, man, he's got the it factor. And,
he really does.
Look late in the game last week. Austin Estime, Kevin Austin. Okay, those are the guys that were helping at that point get you a W. Because of the fact that you'll go down on that particular, and then the injury, and still got it done. And now the schedule, when you look at it, how the schedule is, you play the Jets and the Titans next. You got a shot there. And before the season, Jeff Duncan came on with us. He was like, Mike, your 6-game wins might hit if they can beat the Panthers. And, they were able to beat Carolina. And I think now with the next 2 games, let's see how well he progresses. The offseason now has got to be focused on, I think, a couple things. One, go out in veteran free agency and bring in 2 veteran guards. None of this stuff about drafting linemen again. Go out and get you 2 veteran offensive guards. Then the second thing is start to build around Shough. Running back, wide receiver, tight end. I still believe you need another edge rusher to help out other side of Chase Young, who is starting to be another big story for this team. He made 2 critical plays in that final drive to stop Carolina. And on the 3rd down play, Bryce Young has got an opening there. He's got a shot, and it was Chase Young that was able to trip him up, make the tackle. So not having quarterback on top of the list, I think, and you're watching in front of your very eyes the maturing of a very good quarterback in the NFL. And, there's a lot of chapters to be written. But, boy, what you've seen so far with not a lot around him and an offensive interior line, which is bad. I mean, man, they flowing right inside. He's been able to figure out a way to get you a couple wins.
There's no doubt about that, Mike. Brian asked, he says, and I showed this earlier, but I figured I'd show it when you came on. What is your right now? Again, we got a long way to go before we get to April. You and I'm sure we'll talk again before we get to the draft. But he says his top 4 needs right now: big time wide receiver, a tight end, edge, defensive back, or running back. In which direction right now, if you had to say here on December the 17th, what are you thinking as far as what, and that's the good thing about Shough doing what he's doing. We don't have to worry any longer about whether he's going to be the starting quarterback in 2026. I think we know that's the answer now. So the Saints don't need to draft a quarterback. What direction do you think the Saints are thinking?
I would say either running back or wide receiver. I would love Arvell Reese. He is not my top rated player on the board. Right. I don't think he goes 1. Mendoza will. Come on, the quarterback's going to end up being the first pick in the draft. But Reese, he'll either go 2 or 3, and you won't probably get that pick. So I would go either running back or wide receiver, the 2 names there. He just announced it yesterday, Jeremiah Love, no surprise, from Notre Dame. He reminds me so much of Bijan Robinson coming out of Texas in that he's a power runner, but he's got the speed element. He also can catch the ball so well coming out of the backfield. Talking to coaches at Notre Dame, they were like, man, he's something special as a leader, as a guy that always sort of gets everybody kind of set in for a game. What they did in the game one against Miami and didn't use him, I still scratch my head about, why didn't you use him more? He's your star guy. You're not tricking anybody. That one with Denbrock, I didn't quite get. But so I think Jeremiah Love, Cornell Tate, the wide receiver from Ohio State, he gets overshadowed because of Jeremiah Smith. But you see a 6'2+ receiver. He's got speed. He's got size. So I would look more on the offensive side of the football either at running back or wide receiver. And go in free agent and get you a couple of interior offensive linemen and another receiver.
I know people don't want to see the Saints use a high draft pick again on an offensive lineman. They're getting a little sick of that. So, but again, that's something we'll talk about more towards April. Mike, that leads into Larry Bro asking, who would be the top running backs in the draft after Jeremiah Love, who will be gone by the time the Saints pick? I don't necessarily know if he'll be gone by the time the Saints pick or not, but anyway, who are some of the other running backs we should look at?
Yeah, the Washington running back is really impressive young man. Penn State's got 2 running backs there that I think will both go very high. I think there'll only be 1 running back picked in round 1, and that's Jeremiah. I think the other running backs will go in the second round of the draft. But you talked about he might necessarily not be there. Running backs get devalued today.
They do.
You look at Bijan. Bijan went 8th. He was my 3rd-rated player in that draft class. Right now, Jeremiah Love, for me, is 4. He's not going to go with the 4th pick in the draft. He's going to go 8, 9, 10, or 11. I think of Jahmyr Gibbs. He was 17 on my board, and he went 12th. But that's because the Lions said, that guy reminds us of Alvin Kamara. That's the guy that Dan Campbell wanted because he reminds me of Kamara. And, man, Jahmyr Gibbs has been one hell of a player for that. They got a lot of people, don't pick a running back high. You can get them later. Okay. My thing is this football team cannot be choosy. They got enough holes on this Saints team that, it's cliche about best player available. But for me, there's not going to be a heck of a lot of difference there if you're picking 7th, 9th, 11th in that range. Don't rule out Jeremiah Love still being there at, say, pick 9 or 10 or 11 because for whatever reasons, they got general managers that are hard-headed. And they believe this analytics stuff. What did it do for the Saints? All this RAS stuff that, we go by that. That's great. That's fine. What RAS got you? Marcus Davenport, you got you a guy from Houston that, he looked great coming off the team bus, but he couldn't play. He couldn't stay healthy at all. To me, a lot of this still has to do with doing your homework on players. The RAS stuff is great to have as a tool that you can look at, but it is a real skill. It's like play calling on offense or on defense. It's a real skill to draft well. And that's something they have really struggled with. 2017, they did great with. But then you got to go back to this last draft before you got anything even close to what 2017 did. I do believe that, to me, it is always a little bit of a skill set to understand the right fit, right culture guy, talent. Come on, you can see a guy who's talented, but does he translate what he's done in college to the pros? That's the most difficult part of talent evaluation. I've done this 40 years, so I can tell you that's the most difficult part of kind of looking in that looking glass and saying, yeah, that guy's perfect for us.
I just think that going forward, Mike, knowing the way that Kellen Moore likes to coach, and he's shown that here, even with the lack of being able to run the football, the Saints still, Kellen Moore still calling as if he has Saquon Barkley back there. So I just think that where the Saints are going, I think if Jeremiah Love is there when the Saints pick, as of right now, again, it's December 17th, I reserve the right to change my mind. But to me, that would make the most sense for this football team to draft a guy like that could be another franchise-changing kind of player. I think he can be that.
I think, when you're in Philly, like Kellen Moore was a year ago, and you had a guy like Saquon, you knew you were going to run the ball. And Jalen Hurts is always going to be this bit of an erratic passer. Okay? That's kind of part of his makeup as a quarterback. Now you see the things that you want to build around with Tyler Shough. And this team still needs help at wide receiver. So I think they'll go sort of both ways here. I think they'll draft one and they'll get one through free agency.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the craziest thing is, Jim, when you see all this 13 personnel being run in the NFL, multiple tight ends. The Rams changed earlier in the year to 3 tight ends. Last year, they were in a 2 tight end set. I think it was 57% of the time. Today, when they get in the formation, they got over 70% of the time they in 3 tight ends.
Right.
The Saints have basically sort of not taken a hard look at the tight end spot. Okay, that to me, you just being foolish if you don't look at that and say, look, all the tight ends that are coming out, pass catching tight ends. Those tight ends look like big wide receivers to me, and what it can do for your offense. They've almost neglected that spot completely. And my thing is, okay, it's great that you want to pick the big linemen and everything else, but you got to also have the kind of foresight to look into the future and what's coming in heavily. Over the last couple of years, what's the 2 positions that have made the biggest jump? Wide receivers and tight ends.
Yeah, I think
how many early round picks have the Saints used at wide receiver and tight end?
Well, Chris Olave is the last one. Yeah, that's the last one.
That was it.
Before that, Michael Thomas probably. Honestly, I mean, I can't think of one. But I know this: if Brock Bowers would have still been there, the Saints would have had a tough choice a couple years ago. And you want to talk about Frank? I know the Raiders have not been any good, but there's no question that Brock Bowers is, I think, talent-wise, the best tight end. And you could say Trey McBride and go through some of the tight ends that are making noise offensively, but Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football, if you ask me. And I think if he would have been with the Saints, man, I go back and think what could have been when I look at that dude.
Well, there is no doubt the Saints want to bring him back. And I have no doubt of. And Chris has already made that comment that, they have been in negotiations for a long-term deal. The thing is, to get Olave to re-sign, you're talking about a contract in that $25 to $28 million range.
Yep.
Okay. At times he's flashed it, but he's not been consistent. You look at the first pass they threw to him in a game against Carolina, he dropped it. It was right there. Then they got him involved a little bit more, and then he makes 4 really, really, really good catches. And that one that was for the touchdown, that was as good a throw and catch as you'll see.
It was.
Hey, you talk about J.C. Horn. He sniffed it out. He knew exactly where Shough was going to go, but he couldn't get to the ball. And then a lot of times, because of the fact that defensive back is cutting in front of you, he sort of, for that split second, stops your view of the football. Okay? Because he's flashing by, and Olave was able to make the catch. What I'm interested in, as much as the draft and free agency, is what they do with some of the current players, and can they re-sign them at a reasonable price, and that being a Chris Olave. What do you do there? what's going to happen with a Cam Jordan, Demario Davis, Alvin Kamara? What do you look at center now? Because I think the world of Eric McCoy. I think he's one of the best centers in pro football. But this is back-to-back years.
Yep.
He's had his season in early because of injuries. What do you do there? Or do you go sign Fortner for another year as an insurance policy? I suspect that's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Cesar Ruiz, okay?
Oh,
I saw Pro Football Focus graded him as the second highest. Thing is, who the hell is grading that?
I have no. He's terrible.
He's
terrible.
To me,
he's terrible.
Bobby's a big in Pro Football Focus.
Yeah, and usually, I was before this year, but I got to say, I've completely gotten away from them because their grades that this year, the first 4 or 5 weeks, I was looking at some of their grades. I'm like, I can't talk about this on the air. I think some of their grades were ridiculous. I don't know if they have just getting freelance people out there to do grades because they don't have enough people working for them or what the hell's going on. But their grades are completely different than they were before. And I put no stock in them. Going back to what you said about Olave, I can't. This is my prediction, and I just who that daddy just says, please don't pay Olave $20+ million. 20, it's gonna be closer to 30. And I can tell you my prediction right now is that he gets 4 years, $108 million. That's my prediction. And if he gets that, Saints fans are gonna lose their minds because they're so over the top wrong about Chris Olave. I think Chris Olave he's absolutely a wide receiver one. I think going forward with Shough that he's going to prove his worth even more. But it doesn't matter. My prediction is that he gets over $100 million for 4 years, and when they do, fans will lose their minds.
They'll have a lot of people upset with it, okay? And, my thing with Chris is just play to your talent level. And now you got a quarterback that's going to pump you the ball. And I think put you in a spot to put up some really big numbers in this league. That wasn't the case before. That just wasn't the case. And so all his maybe drops and kind of faux pas get magnified.
Absolutely.
Because now he becomes the target. Okay. It was first the quarterback, then it's the receiver, that sort of thing. It's the same way with Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson, to me, is a good player in this league. He's a good player. People squawk about the money, but my thing is, look what other tight ends are getting in this league. I think a lot of the squawk has to do, this team hasn't paid a tight end in so long, they don't realize the money level involved with paying a tight end. And had Johnson got on the market, guess where he'd have signed? With the Denver Broncos. I think Sean Payton was waiting to seal that deal with Ingram because I think he really wanted Juwan Johnson in Denver.
Right.
And that didn't happen because the Saints were able to resign. But again, it's areas where I think maybe the general public hasn't seen that type of money at wide receiver. Michael Thomas was the last one to get that type of money at wide receiver. And so it's been a little while. And so it's going to be the reaction when they come up with that major deal for Olave. And I agree with you. I think the contract terms will be in the area that you're talking about, very close to it.
I just think they have to. And look, here's the thing. And I know people don't think Chris Olave is a wide receiver one, but he 100% absolutely is. And I don't care who thinks it, who doesn't think it. But you look at the top, the numbers for receivers are just going through the roof right now. Is he as good as Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb or DK Metcalf or Garrett Wilson? Probably not. And I just rattled off the top 5 contracts in the NFL. Amon-Ra St. Brown, probably not. But is he as good as Brandon Ayuk? I think he is. T. Higgins, he's close. DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, A.J. Brown. These are the kind of contracts that he's going to be in the neighborhood of. And A.J. Brown, his contract, he signed it 2 years ago. So, I mean, I'm going back in time. But when you're talking about where contracts are right now, that is a fair contract. $108 million for 4 years or somewhere in that ballpark. That's probably what he's going to get. And that's going to be fair market value. It just is what it is. And people don't know how to compare what fair market value is to what their perception is of someone they don't like. And the reason why they don't like Chris Olave can make 14 great catches in a row, and if he drops one, he's a bum. I told you he's a bum. I can't stand it. And it just drives me nuts because you talk about the great catches he made, but all people were talking about with that drop.
I think for people, they would like to see a little bit more consistency with Olave catching the ball. But the same people that in private, if they're watching a game in the dome or at their house, or they'll post something online, the first time he comes up with a big game, man, you and Bobby on Chris Olave because he dropped some balls. No, you complaining too. But you don't understand that is part of this game. When you wanting to get paid that type of money, I think there's a certain level you want to see it. But a little bit part of this is the guy throwing you the ball. Okay? You don't want to blame anybody else. Okay? You don't want to blame him. But the ball hits your hands. You got to catch it. You got to be able to catch it because this team's margin of error, Jim, I think everybody can agree on, is small. A major drop or a fumble, for me, is huge for them. And that's the one thing you got to give Tyler Shough. He has stayed away from the major turnover over the last couple weeks. And I do think that is part of the buildup of your game, understanding the NFL. But when the ball hits your hands, you got to catch it because your margin of error is so small in this league. That's why Blake Grupe's kicking for the Colts. Right. I think maybe you would have given him a little bit more time, but, because you knew he can kick in the NFL. You know he can kick, but he was in a slump, and he could not get out of it. It's almost like if you go to a golf course and you're really good in your short game and you can't hit a putt to save your life. But yet, a week later, you can sink every one. That's the life of a kicker. And Grupe's time with the Saints had run out completely. But you're missing all these kicks. You can't afford to have a kicker like that. You just can't at that stage because of the fact it was costing you. And now you're always playing catch up for points, constantly playing catch up for the points that you missed out on. This team's margin of error is very, very small. And it's very small even in the NFL if you were hitting the kicks. Right. So damn well it's really small when you start missing them.
Well, I was for Charlie Smith in the beginning. I figured, look, this team wasn't going anywhere. At the time when they were trying to make a decision between Grupe and Smith, I just thought they should have gone with Smith. And I definitely thought so this year when you were talking about a team that was going to win somewhere between, I think we all agreed, somewhere between 4 and 7 wins. 7 was the absolute ceiling. 4 was probably the floor. And so why not go with the Smith? Why go with the Grupe when you already know what you have there? But here's the thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about wide receiver because we need to move on, and because I want to ask you your thoughts on the defense. But this is and I'm not, Greg, I'm not calling you out. I'm not trying to be mean here when I call you out here. But to say Devon Vele is the best receiver on this foot, Devon Vele, everyone, and I shouldn't say everyone, a vast majority of people were crying and moaning about Mickey Loomis using a 4th-round pick on Devon Vele just 3 months ago. I can't believe they wasted a 4th-round pick on somebody they never heard of just because they never heard of him. Now they love Vele, okay? And so for any Saints fan to say Vele is the best receiver over Chris Olave is just silly, but it just goes to show the reason why I point this out. Again, Greg, I'm not particularly calling you out, just happened to be this comment that proves my point. If you don't like someone, if you're trying to find the negative part of someone, it was Dennis Allen and then he was gone and Grupe and they hated Grupe and they just they hated Derek Carr. And so now there's no one, those guys are gone. So now they're hating on Chris Olave when Chris Olave, again, there's no question he's one of the top 32 receivers in the NFL. 0.0 question. And it just goes to show. I mean, to say something like Vele is the best receiver on this team is just insane. I'm not saying he's not looking good, but it's insane to say that.
The thing with Vele, and I get it, he was a 7th-round pick who looked really good early last year. Why I think the antenna goes up is, why did Sean Payton trade him away?
Mm-hmm.
Because
yep.
Sean's, the one thing, he's not like Red Cross, okay? He's not giving you something, but, he did, I think, sort of tip his hand in the April draft when he drafted a receiver in the 3rd round, that he wanted to move away from Vele, and he went with Bryant, who was a really good receiver at Illinois. And he really played well for them early, and then he had some injuries. I think that was the antenna shot. Wait a minute. Sean Payton ain't trying to help us.
Exactly.
Sean Payton always wants to help Sean Payton. Okay, and that part is true. Believe me. He's always looking out for him. But, in trading the 4th and 7th for Vele, I do think that the Saints may have something here with Devon. I think the one thing that showed up, and I talked to some people in Denver about it, is they felt he might be a guy that would spend a lot of downtime to injuries because he was slight of build. And Sean wanted a bigger receiver that would go over the middle to make a catch.
Mm-hmm.
When you walk up to Devon Vele, Jim, he's a tall, very thin build receiver. And then what happens? He falls awkwardly and he has the shoulder injury. So I think maybe that was in the back of Sean's mind. I think that was maybe in the back of his mind. Could he hold up on a 17-game schedule and then into the playoffs just because of his build? Nobody's ever going to say, hey, kid, you need to lose weight. I mean, It's always, hey, you got to put some meat on the bone because he's built a certain way. And when you go over the middle, I know they can't go high on you or low on you, but, man, they can rattle your bones, hitting you in the chest, hitting you in the shoulder, that sort of thing. But I think just because the deal was made with Sean, and why is he giving him up?
I hear that.
I think that was kind of the catch.
Makes total sense. I get that. And look, I think I said it when they made when they made the trade. I thought that's exactly the kind of receiver this team needed because they didn't have one. They didn't have a big-bodied receiver. So I thought he fit in nicely. It was definitely worth the risk. And I think it's already proven that it's the right pick. I just think that Vele is really a guy you want to be like your number 3 receiver. So I think the Saints obviously do need to go out and get another one to complement with Olave and Vele, and I think they will either in the draft or in free agency, and we'll talk more about that going forward. I want to get to the defense before I let you go, and you brought it up earlier when you first came on and talking about Chase Young, and look, this is the Chase Young that I think everybody thought that they were going to see when the Saints spent here's $60 million, Chase Young, and I think we're seeing the last few weeks what this dude can be. They have been super careful with using Chase Young, and they let him take the first 4 or 5 weeks off. They didn't want to take a chance with an injury that could turn into something worse, like an Achilles or whatever. But now we're seeing really what Chase Young can be, a staple and a stalwart, and the guy that came out of Ohio State and was that dominant.
I've always looked at him as a power player, Jim, to be honest. People kind of deemed him a speed pass rusher, but I always thought he was the power guy. Just the way he was built. It's the injuries have taken a toll on him. I think the knee injury early.
For sure.
Then he had the back injury, then the calf. Where I see the biggest growth in his play, and I think he was always a good pressure guy. Is that he plays the run much better than he ever has. When you go back to his days with Washington and San Francisco, that wasn't a strength of his, playing the run. And yet now he has played the run very well. He's gotten much better there, but it's his ability to finish a play. And again, I go back to that last drive. You get a sack. critical situation. His eyes now get focused because once you see Bryce Young break containment, he had the instinct to get downfield, understanding Young was going to run with it. Nobody was open. He was going to run with it and getting down there and making that play. His run defense play is really what jumps out at me because I knew already he could rush the passer. He could put pressure. He's finishing off the pressure into sacks. Play against the run. That, to me, has stood out this year more than any other time in his career, that he's learned to play the run better. And so if you got one in a 3-4, you'd like to have a tag team partner. That's something they don't have on this team right now. They need another edge guy.
Yeah, and with Cam Cam going,
Cam's not going to play.
Exactly. Go ahead about Cam.
With Cam getting up in age, you that there. I think Granderson's a solid player. I really do. And I had a couple of friends of mine in the league told me that they had interest in Granderson at the right price. But they really liked him inside and, used a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft for Broughton. And I do think the coaching staff really liked him. They thought he was just coming around, and then he gets hurt. So Chase Young has really played extremely well, and you see it over the last month. And he's been a difference maker. And when you talk to other teams, beat writers, when we have on weekly, first thing they bring up is that the coaching staff brought up about one guy, Chase Young, second, Demario Davis. And what he's doing at this age, just unbelievable, Jim, to watch Demario Davis play at that level. Is he still as fast or as quick as he was years ago? No. But man, there is something about experience and smarts and understanding how to position yourself to make a play. Demario Davis is it. It's unreal to watch him at this age make the play he makes game after game.
And the thing about Demario Davis to me is, and the reason why I think he could be here for maybe even 2 more years, is because he is such a team leader. He's obviously the leader on this team, not just the defense. I think he's the leader on this team, and I do think that he potentially sticks around for a little bit. With the defense also, I want to bring up the young players, and you look at this defensive backfield, and it gives you so much hope, Mike. With Lattimore going, I actually think they're even in a better off situation. And you talk about the likes of, Jonas Anker and Quincy Riley and Alontae Taylor and how well that they've done back there. And I think Brandon Staley has helped these guys out so much. But to me, if you're looking other than quarterback, if you're looking for a position or a spot on the field that I'm so encouraged about for the future, it's the defensive backfield. And it's not really a surprise that they could be this good, but just talk about those guys a little bit and what you've seen there.
The biggest surprise for me this year has been in the secondary. Because normally, and you saw it in this past game, Bryce Young, he picked on Quincy Riley. Man, he was like, okay, that's where I'm going. I'm going to throw the ball in his area. But the one thing with Quincy he's got, and not a lot of corners have, quick amnesia. Okay? You got to have it as a corner because they are going to pick on you. And Ed Reed told me this story years ago. He was like, man, as a rookie, man, them guys threw the ball at me. And, man, I was athletic. I could run everything else. They were testing me. He said, when I was an old man in this business, they weren't throwing the ball. My reputation was, you throw the ball around Ed, he's like, man, I wasn't the athlete I was when I was in my first, second, third year. Not even close. And yet you see Jonas Anker and his smarts, his ability to put himself in the right position. Quincy Riley's a good cover guy. Yeah, he's going to get beat from time to time, but you see the growth in him. And a lot of times it's recognizing routes and trying to get in a position to make a play. And I think we saw Kool-Aid McKinstry go through the exact same thing on the other side. I really thought Alontae Taylor would be a bigger part of this defense. And his play has been a bit erratic throughout the year. But I'm impressed with the secondary and what they've been able to get out of that. Because when they lost Julian Blackman, and I wasn't able to go to the practices, but, Bobby was always telling me, Mike, your guy Blackman, he came up with an interception. He came up with a pass breakup. And Rick Venturi told me, Mike, if he can stay healthy, he is a really good football player, a really good player. The problem is keeping him healthy. Sure enough, after week 1, he goes down. So then you got to put the rookie in. Hey, kid, get in there. It's yours now. And that, to me, I'll be honest with you, has been the biggest surprise of this season, how well the secondary has played. People, what happened in Seattle? What happened with the Rams? Okay, they torture a lot of teams. If you don't pressure Sam Darnold and you don't pressure Matt Stafford, hey, you good luck apart in the back, because they got. There's
no doubt about that, and
also too Stutzman. Stutzman's another guy, Jim. I think he's the eventual replacement for DeMario. I think that's his spot more than on the weak side.
No, I agree wholeheartedly, and I didn't even bring up Danny Stutzman, but I like the fact that he seems to play a little bit more in the back half of the season. Obviously, in the beginning of the season, wasn't getting as much playing time, but he is now, and I really like that fact. And look, I can't move on without giving credit where I think credit is due, because I was really harsh on Brandon Staley as a head coach, but I think he's done an outstanding job in developing these young players, honestly. And we talked about, is the 3-4 going to work, and they're kind of like trying to transition, I think, long term into that, and that's a really hard thing to do. But Brandon Staley has found a way to make things work with what he has, and again, develop these young players. And I just think he's done a hell of a job.
He's done a great job. And, I do kind of weekly work with Greg Cosell from NFL Films. And we were talking about that a couple of weeks back. And he was like, Mike, I'm really impressed. Really, really impressed. He said, you brought it up to me, how well the defense has played for this team. And they still have some pieces that you would want to, get better at. So I think people outside the Saints is really been impressed with what Staley's been able to do. And he's always been about stop the run first and then put pressure on the quarterback. At times they've been kind of the stock market on the run. It's
right.
Been sort of up and down. But when they needed to stop the run against Carolina, they were able to do it. And some guys are just better in the small room than they are in the big room. Watch the Bears defense play. You know who's coaching those guys? Dennis Allen.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay. Dennis Allen is coaching that defense. Look all the turnovers they're getting on the defensive side of the football. So, and I've been impressed with Brandon Staley, and he may get another shot to be a head coach one day. He may get another shot, but he's done really, really good work with this defensive personnel and most of it inherited. He was able to bring in some bit and piece parts on defense that he was familiar with, but a whole new staff. Man, you look at that, you really are impressed at what Brandon Staley has done defensively with the people that he's got on that team right now.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. Again, I didn't want to go any further without giving because I haven't given him enough credit. Because look, let's be real. Even as well as Shough has played the last few weeks, they're still scoring 20, 24, 17, whatever it is, and the Saints are finding ways to win. Winning 3 of the last 5. And let's don't kid ourselves. The defense has been as big a part of them winning as Shough has. So let's not go past that. Last thing here on the Saints, Mike, this morning before we let you go, just your overall thoughts on where Kellen Moore is in his development as a coach. And I think that I've seen a lot of progress not just because they're winning. Don't get me wrong, winning helps. But I think that his progress especially the last 2 weeks, but really the last, maybe month or so, I've seen him take a different his confidence level is a little different. The way he talks is a little bit different, and the way he's coaching this offense certainly is different.
I think one of the things I'll always remember is talking to Sean Payton about year one with the Saints, and they were 10-6, and it was a kind of a magical run. You one game away from going to the Super Bowl because you played in the NFC Championship game against the Bears. And he was like, man, it was the biggest growth period for me because I'd never been a head coach before, and the magnitude of every decision now. Okay, it's yours. Okay, the buck stops with you. It's not about anything else. And he said that really helped me grow as a head coach. And he said, we just caught fire, so to speak, during the year, and we kind of rode that confidence level. But he said, I learned so much in year one in how to deal with people, play calling, delegating authority, how to handle players. He said, because, at times I was trying to be Bill Parcells and trying to be Sean Payton at the same time. And he said, I was tough on him, real tough. So he said that first year, you're going through this because you've never been through it before at any level. And understanding the NFL is unforgiving. Okay. The same people that are patting you on the back are going to kick you in the butt when you lose. When you win, oh man, you great, you unbelievable. Then he said, then the next 2 years we 7-9. So but he did bring up year one was such a big year for him in understanding how to handle what he called the big room and 53 players and getting them ready to play each and every week. I think we've seen the exact same thing with Kellen Moore. His personality, no, he's not going to be like Peyton. He's not going to have that type of persona. He's sharp-worded on every answer. But I do think they understand him better, too, as a coach. And so just like if a new boss takes over wherever you're at, the one thing I hate in life, but you get it, and you got to deal with it, is people that's constantly either they're way up here or they're way down here. You never catch this. That's the one thing with Kellen Moore I give him. He's always like this. It's always sort of steady with him. Does he show a lot of emotion? No, but that's not his personality, and you can't fake the funk. You can't do it. You cannot fake it. These guys are going to pick it up. So at least you don't have that super high, super low. I think he's pretty steady with it, and he's learned how to deal with a much larger room than being in the quarterback room or the quarterback receiver room in the running backs room. He's learning that along the way. That does take a little bit of time when you've never done it before at any level. So, and listen, I think you see the growth in him as a head coach. You can disagree with him on play calling. Come on. The best in the world get disagreed upon play calling. They got people sitting in their homes, man. They're never wrong about play calling.
Never.
But
never.
It is part of the growth of first year coach.
Look, and I just think, again, you want to talk about growth. People don't realize he's 5 years younger than Sean Payton was when he took over this franchise back in 2006. So, I mean, Sean Payton was 43 when he started as coach, and Kellen Moore's I think he's about to turn 38. So, I mean, it just goes to show where he is in development chart. He's still got a ways to go. I wish he would lose a little bit of that coach speak vocabulary. I think maybe that'll give me a little bit of Sean Payton's attitude.
That'll never happen.
I know it's probably not
never happen. That part of him, because we used to love to do the Monday night shows, the coaching shows, and him and Bobby would square off all the time. And then one time he tells me, he was like, "Man, I got to tell you this. I don't know what they pay you to do that show, but they should triple it." Because he said, Hebert's the only guy that can ask a question, answer a question, and then debate himself before I get a chance to answer. they would go at one another pretty good. Kellen Moore's never going to do that. He's going to, yeah, Bobby, this is what and it's real short. So you better have a list of questions, not just 4 or 5. You better have a list when you go on with Kellen, because he's going to give you real short answers. He's not going to be detailed. He's not a storyteller, so to speak, like what Peyton was. Even Dennis Allen, he every once in a while would give you like a story to tell that he had about something that happened years ago. That's not Kellen. Kellen's not going to do that, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
I agree with you. I just maybe just a little bit more attitude. We'll see. I mean, this show is called Dattitude. You know, I like attitude, so we'll see if maybe we could just get a little bit more. I don't know. All right, before I let you go, Gabe has asked me. He wants to get your prediction because I'm pretty sure we probably won't have you on again before the CFP championship game. Who are you picking to win college football? And then I'll just go in because I don't know if we'll have you on before the Super Bowl or not. We may or may not. So give me your college football champion and who is your Super Bowl champion here on December the 17th, 2025.
I think Ohio State wins it all. I really think they're the most talented team. The loss to Indiana may have been exactly what they needed.
Yep, absolutely.
I think it is the best coaching job I've ever seen from Ryan Day. When you lose 17 guys to the NFL, that's not counting people he lost in the transfer portal. 17 to the NFL, 14 draft choices, 3 free agents, and look at what he's put out on that field.
Mike freezing up on us there. I don't know if he can. We may not get that Super Bowl prediction. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, the computer gods were great to us because if he's going to freeze up, it might as well happen there at the end. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. For Friday's show, when I text Mike, thank you, because I like to thank your guests when we're done. When I text Mike, thank you, I will get him to text me his Super Bowl pick, and we'll find out what it is. But always a super pleasure to have Mike Detillier on this show, as you know. And I don't know if I agree with him. I think if I had to make the pick right now, I think I would pick Georgia. But I don't know. I'm not in love with the quarterback situation there, but I don't know that I'm in love with any quarterback situation. I mean, you know, we kind of been joking about it in text groups, and I can't remember whether it was one with Gabe and UBN or another one, but how Fernando Mendoza, is he the worst Heisman? And I'm not saying he's bad. He's a great quarterback. Is he the worst Heisman Trophy winner in the last 20, 25 years? I mean, maybe. Again, it's not necessarily a product of his fault. His stats aren't eye-popping, but that's just the way that Indiana plays football. I think he deserved the Heisman. It certainly wasn't your boy who's out there being a moron. But anyway, I think the CFP, I think these playoffs are going to be fantastic. You don't know what I think about the playoffs. I think Gabe thinks they need fewer teams. I think they need more, but whatever. I think it's going to be so much fun going. I think this weekend's going to be fun going forward. I don't think any of these teams necessarily playing this weekend are going to win this thing. But who knows? Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Yeah, I'm interested in all of them. I'm going to try to watch as much as I can. I actually have to work on Saturday, so I may miss part of the Tulane game, but we'll see. We'll see going forward. What did y'all think of his Saints talk? I'm telling you, I tell you, this defense and the title slide, because not just because I had to count how many times we've done Shough over the past 3 weeks. It is what it is. I mean, look, that's what people want to talk about, Tyler Shough. And again, if y'all haven't seen the little song that he made, I can't remember who it was. Friday I will tell you again who was the one that made up this song, but gonna get Shough tonight. I mean, I'm not doing it justice, trust me. But it's worth going find. I found it on X. I think it's on Instagram too. If you do Instagram, I don't really do Instagram, but go find it. All right, we're going to talk some more. We're going to bring Gabe on in just a minute. He'll have his thought of the day. We're going to give our Thursday night football prediction. But before we do that, we told you earlier we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? I mean, come on. Of all the questions I've asked, I asked Mike Detillier 48 questions. That's the best question of the day. How do they do it? After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, well, they'll begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and I mean 0.0 with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important, and it ain't who the kicker is for the Saints or the Colts or who's going to win the CFP or what the Saints' final record would be. Yeah, that's kind of important, but it's not nearly as important as the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. I'm sorry I didn't get to ask all the questions that y'all were putting up there, but I did try to show all the comments. Scott says Shough looks like he's the best quarterback in this past draft. I think it's either him or Dart, and I don't think it's particularly close. And the reason why I would go with Shough at this point in time, again, it's early. I don't want to use hyperbole here. He's only started, what is it? He's only played, I think the answer is 20. How many quarters has he played? 24 or 26 or whatever it is. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying not to go overboard, but I do think that as of right now, if I had to vote, I would vote that Shough is the best quarterback in this draft thus far. You could make a case for Dart. I really don't think you could. Look, Cam Ward, the team he's playing with stinks. It's not necessarily his fault, but I haven't been that impressed with him either. It's early. Who's the best quarterback of the, was it the 23 draft when Bryce Young and CJ Stroud came out? I mean, it's probably CJ Stroud, but at least Bryce Young played better to make it competitive. It doesn't look like it's this giant mistake like it looked whenever a couple years ago, but these things are not questions you necessarily can answer after 1 year or even 2 years or 3 years. I mean, those are the sorts of questions that you ask later on. So anyway, S. Callie, thank you so much for being here. We love you. Thank you for being part of the Dattitude family. Charles Mangus is saying he's predicting the Bills. The Bills are the if you want what's the right word? If you want to pick the most favorite pick among just everyday fans, it's no question the Buffalo Bills. And I'm not saying they won't win. I think they can win. I just don't know that I'm going to believe in them until they actually do it. Charles also says, best show of all the podcasts. Thank you so much. Let's see. And I got something biting me here as we're trying to do a show. All right, let's move on. And I want to bring in Gabe. And I have no idea what Gabe wants to talk about this morning, but it's Wednesday. And but before you say anything, Gabe, I want to throw out this, and I meant to say this morning in the open. I want to give a big thank you, and I know you're on board with me, to everyone out there. And I've been thanking a lot of people lately, and there's a reason why. I mean, for those of you who don't know and don't watch on a regular basis, I'm independent now. I was with the Times-Picayune forever. They helped me. They didn't help me. They started this show and let me go on, and my dream was to have my own show, and I have one. So nothing negative to say about my former employer, but when I was released on October 31st, we decided right away, the show is not going to end. I'm going to try to make this thing a go at it. And if the last month and a half is any indication, then I think we're going to make it. All the people that have donated to the show since I monetized 2 weeks ago, I was looking at, how much money we've made between there and just how many. But to me, the way you judge a show is by how many people watch and how many people listen. And judging by the views and the listens compared to before, we are on pace to do even better than we were doing before with the strong arm of the NOLA.com platform. And we're doing just as well as we were doing before. So with this show today, this will put us over, since we went independent, that's just 6 weeks ago. In 6 weeks, we will go over the 200,000 view/listen mark as of today. So I would love, y'all got to help me out here. Tell your friends, tell whoever, give us give us shares, whatever you got to do to help us. but I would love for us to hit 250,000 by year's end. That means we need a little less than 50,000 more views and listens by the end of this year. I think we can do it. It's going to hurt that we have one fewer show than normal because we're not going to do a show next Wednesday. But we will have Friday's show, Monday. So we got 5 shows left in the calendar year. And I'm sure I will throw a couple shorts in there that can help the views and listens. But tell your friends, whatever you got to do. Again, thanks for the donations, but we have a chance to go over 250,000 on our own as an independent since we left the mothership, as we will call it. And we also have already gone over 1.5 million for the year total. So I just want to say thanks to everyone. Gabe, we couldn't do it without you. Gabe Henderson here, and UBN, who has contributed all the show, and all the regulars, everyone. Thanks to everyone so much, because it's been fantastic run since we've left. Again, couldn't do it without you. So there we go.
1.5 million. Is that good?
I think that's pretty darn good. In our little world,
that's a lot.
In our little world, that's a lot. Randall, thank you so much. Tom says, Tom flies when you've got Dattitude. Great show. Thank you. And Charles says, in a year, we will be over 500,000. Oh, for sure. We're going to be less than that. I appreciate it. I mean, a lot less. I hope by the draft we're at 500,000.
I hope we have 500,000 people watching our draft coverage.
Yeah, well, that would be fun. Quo, you have a great show, and I'm grateful for our insights. Quo knows about the mothership, our former employer. Again, nothing negative to say about my former employer. Keep up the great attitude. Thank you for being our former employer. That's right. All right, moving on. Wednesday with Gabe Henderson. I appreciate you sitting in the green room patiently and marking down chapters and helping out, because we all know. Look, Mike joked about his thing with Bobby, and when he's on with Bobby, he doesn't get a lot of chance to speak. So that's why I let him come on and talk as long as he wants to, because on his own show, sometimes he doesn't necessarily get to talk because Bobby talks a lot. So Mike runs long, and we love it. We thank him for that. Mitch, thank you for joining the show. We love having you a part of the Dat family as well. What you got for me this Wednesday morning?
Well, I do want to just quickly address the Bills Super Bowl predictions. I'm once again not saying that they're not going to win the Super Bowl or even be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. However, there is a decent chance that Josh Allen could have to go back to his house of horrors in the AFC playoffs. So that's all I'll say on that.
Not Kansas City.
He's never won
Baltimore?
in Houston.
Oh, Houston is his house of
never.
I didn't know that.
Never won in Houston. And
are you
earlier this season?
Smack?
No. I'm just saying
okay.
there's just saying
there's
a certain number one defense that could derail.
There's a chance that it could be a first round matchup of 4. Well, I guess it couldn't be a 4-5 because that's a division winner versus. So I guess you couldn't be a first round matchup. But yeah, I guess it's a chance. Well, Houston could still win the division. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, they just need Jacksonville to drop a game, and they need to win out.
Okay, I guess anything's possible. Randall says Rams Broncos. Well, let's go way out on a limb, Randall. You're taking the likely 1 seed from each conference. That's way out on a limb, Randall. I don't know. I think at this point I would take. You know what? I'm not going to shy away from Green Bay because I picked them, and Micah Parsons is done for the year. So I may change it when we get to playoff time. I don't know. But right now I'm going to stick with Green Bay in the NFC. And in the AFC, I said Baltimore to start the season, but I just don't have any faith in them.
There's not even they might not make it.
They might not make it.
They have to win the division to make it, and they're a game or 2 back.
Randall, you need to go look again. How often do 1 seeds make the Super Bowl? Quite a bit. Quite often, actually. No, it's not every year. It's not all the time, but it happens a lot. But anyway, I'm going to say Green Bay. As of right now, Green Bay. I'm going to say New England. I'm going to take New England in the AFC. I just look. I think the way, and look, I know they didn't beat Buffalo last week, and I know they're young, so they might be a year or 2 away from making it back there. But I definitely don't. I think the Broncos are gonna lose that. I think the Broncos
Broncos
And
like the Bears.
I think the Broncos and Bears, I could tell you right now, spoiler alert, I'm picking the Broncos and Bears to lose their first round play. Whatever first playoff game those teams play, I'm picking against them. I'm giving you an early heads up.
When is
UBN says Rams and Buffalo?
The only reason that I would hesitate to pick Green Bay is because the NFC or the NFL playoffs start on January 10th and Toyotathon ends on January 4th. So Jordan Love will go back to being an average quarterback. You've heard this theory, right?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know Toyotathon Jordan Love?
Okay,
so during Toyotathon, Jordan Love is incredible. He elevates his play. He's thrown something like 40 touchdowns to one pick specifically during Toyotathon during his career.
Okay.
And in the rest of it, he's just an average quarterback. It's very funny. It's a very funny.
Scott's big prediction is that Tulane beats Ole Miss.
I would love that to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Neither do I.
I don't know. Well, I knew this. It's not going to be Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And
no, it's not.
I guess you can't say this for sure, but I don't think Philadelphia has much of a prayer. I just don't. But
you know my feelings on Philadelphia this season.
Rams, look, if I had to pick one of the favorites and one of the one seeds, if I had to pick a one seed, I'm absolutely picking either Rams or Seattle, whoever that one seed is, over the Broncos. Just my opinion.
100%.
Bo Nix is not going to the Super Bowl. And go ahead. I'll play this clip back if I'm wrong. I just don't care. All right, what else you got for me before I go to Thursday Night Football?
I wanted to talk Frank Wilson a bit.
Okay.
I just don't think it's as big a deal as everyone's making it seem. I apologize. I forget who commented earlier, but someone commented about his running back rotation. The running backs haven't been all that great. LSU doesn't have a 100-yard rusher this season.
Yeah.
His on-field coaching has been questionable. It is what it is. I think Kevin Smith will definitely be an upgrade. As far as recruiting goes, LSU hasn't recruited New Orleans particularly well this season. They only have, I believe, 3 commits from the New Orleans area, and they've missed out on some of the top ones. So I just don't. LSU is going to be able to recruit New Orleans regardless. Frank Wilson hasn't. He's recruited some excellent players to LSU. They've never won anything with Frank Wilson on staff.
There's your proof that you're wrong, right there.
They've never won anything with him on staff.
I'm completely
or with his players. So,
I mean, I hear you, and
I'm not going to say Randall's saying his rotation has been it's not been god awful.
Here's my thing.
He's not a bad coach by any means. He is an excellent recruiter. But I think in terms of the staff retentions, Corey Raymond was 100% the coach you needed to keep the most.
I'm not trying. It's going to come off as I'm trying to throw shade, but I'm just telling you, I will say this. I don't think that anyone who's not from New Orleans can understand the New Orleans mindset and the players of New Orleans. And I think that's why Frank Wilson was normally in this class, whatever you want to talk about, you can say this player is coming or this player is not coming or whatever it is. I just think it's hard for someone who's not from here to understand the mindset of a New Orleanian. And I just think that's why Frank Wilson being gone is going to hurt. But I hope he doesn't go to Ole Miss and help them become better than they are and get the players from New Orleans. I've seen too many times, Gabe, as you go through in the past, and especially the last 20, 25 years, I've seen too many coaches kind of downplay how important it is to get kids, not just from New Orleans, but really the whole state of Louisiana, to stay here. And
I think Lane understands that, though.
I hope he does. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not going to say he doesn't because I haven't seen him do anything here yet.
Yeah, we just don't know.
I'm not going to say that he doesn't. He may be able to recruit New Orleans and Louisiana as well as anyone. So we'll see. I think everyone knows that Lane Kiffin's a good recruiter as it is. But look, what he did at Ole Miss was fantastic recruiting wise. But it's just really it's a tough one, and I think that I think it's going to come back to bite him. I hope I'm wrong. again, this is something that we'll talk about probably more later on.
Well,
all right,
let's
go ahead, finish it off.
The one reason that I'm optimistic that Lane understands that, in his press conference, who did he say his first call was when he got on campus?
Who did who say?
Who did Lane Kiffin say his first call was when he got on campus?
Oh, I thought he called Nick Saban.
No. First, he said as he was driving past Tiger Stadium, he called Ed Orgeron. And nobody understands the reality that you need to recruit Louisiana at LSU more than Ed Orgeron. So I don't think you can have I don't think you can have O in your ear and not understand.
Let me just say there was, and I did say this about seeing him on the sideline Friday. He wasn't just on the sideline Friday because he wants to go check out the Shaw St. Charles game. Let me just tell you, he was there the whole weekend, and he was there for a reason. So is it possible he goes back to LSU? I would be. Let me just say, if Mike, at this point, I will just say this: if Mike Detillier says that he's going to be coaching somewhere in 2026, he's going to be coaching somewhere in 2026. Mm-hmm. We'll see.
I just don't think it'll be LSU because I think he wants an on-field role. And I think LSU's filled all of those. One more thing before we move on to Thursday night picks. Randall says this: if a player chooses to play for Ole Miss over LSU just because of Frank Wilson, he wasn't a true Tiger to begin with. Let's be honest, there are very few kids nowadays who are choosing schools because they want to.
Amen. That's
and that's another reason that I don't think
the super impact play. And that to that point, it is less important. Recruiting is a tinge less important. It's still super important, but it's a tinge less important because Nick Saban sitting at your kitchen table 5 years ago 100% meant something, and it was why people went to Alabama. Now, and I'll use Nick Saban, the figurative Nick Saban, sitting at your table doesn't mean nearly as much as this means. That's what means something.
Mike alluded to it earlier. It's the Benjamins. Lane Kiffin knows how to utilize the Benjamins.
Earl wants to know, is there any chance Shough wins Rookie of the Year if he plays well and the Saints win out? I would say no.
Nope.
I don't think you can play half a year and win Rookie of the Year. That's just my opinion. Is it possible? Possible, but I seriously doubt it.
While we move on, I am going to look into the odds for that.
It went down actually, and Zach, and I don't know what it is today, but just a couple days, Zach was talking about it. He got it at 60-1 early in the year,
25,
and it went. Okay, now it's 25-1. I thought he told me it was 6-1.
No, it's 25-1 now. Travion Henderson is the leader in the clubhouse at plus 185. Emeka Egbuka plus 205. Teteroa McMillan plus 250. Jackson Dart, Tyler Warren, and then Tyler Shough. I
probably would vote for Egbuka, but I think that what Henderson did last week, even though they lost, obviously changes some people's minds. We'll see what happens. I think the last 3 weeks matters, but I think it's one of those two guys.
I agree.
For sure. I don't think it's a quarterback. I don't think there's a quarterback that's played well enough to win it or earn it. We'll see.
I think who I think it should be. I think it should be Armand Membu. I think he should win.
Yeah,
but he won't.
That's not sexy.
Linemen don't win it, but he's been the best
sexy
offensive rookie.
All right, moving on to Thursday Night Football before we close it off. Look, this is a good one, and this is they're playing on Christmas night, so it's not the last one, but it's the last just regular Joe Blow sit in front of the TV on a Thursday game. And wow, I don't think Prime or anyone had an idea of how big this game would be back when they were making this schedule. That Week 16 Rams Seahawks. I don't think it's even. I think whoever wins this game, I think it's almost a sure thing, right? I mean, it's not 100% a sure thing, but it's pretty close to a sure thing that whoever wins this game is going to be the number one seed in the NFC.
Yeah, you're in the driver's seat for sure.
For sure. And so it's a pick 'em. I mean, technically it's -1.5 at DraftKings, but that's at plus 102. If you look at the numbers will tell you the money line's -110 for each. So it's a pick 'em game. You don't get a lot of pick 'em games these days. Rams and Seahawks. Do you have a best bet for tonight?
Yes, I have a best bet, but I hate it.
Okay. You didn't hate your Monday night best bet, and that
no, I didn't. That was a gut feeling, and it was the wrong gut feeling because Tua turned into a pumpkin. Tua turned a ball over.
What a mess! What a mess Tua is.
What
you got?
I like the Rams in this game.
Okay,
straight up. They've won 4 of their last 5 in Seattle. They beat Seattle earlier in the season. Darnold's really struggled lately. I think the Rams are the class of the NFL right now.
The Rams won this contest 21-19 in Los Angeles or whatever hell city they play in. I don't care. On November the 16th, it's like whatever. I don't care. The Rams, have you said they've won 4 or 5 in Seattle? They've also won 4 of 5 in the series overall. They've won 7 of 10 in this series overall, no matter where the game is played. I do not have a best bet. This is a no bet for me. I may put a last minute, put a couple bucks just to make it interesting, but I don't need to make a bet on this game. I had to make a little tiny bet on Monday's game just to even kind of care because I didn't give one rat's ass. This game, I don't need to bet on this game to care because this is going to be one that I'm definitely looking forward to watching. But if I had to pick, it's hard not to like the Rams. It's kind of square. It's not super square.
It's very square, which is why I hate it.
It's actually where I was looking is the 60% of the cash is on Seattle and 60% of the tickets are on the Rams. So that tells you that the general public, no offense, Charles and Randall and all you general public people are all, and you may not be taking the Rams and they may not be taking, but the fans who just bet they go on and they just and they press a button and move on and don't think about it till 5 minutes before the game are taking the Rams. But it's hard not to. I'm not betting on Sam Darnold in a game that means a lot. I'm just not. I still think he stinks overall. I mean, stinks maybe. Average. He's average.
Okay.
Stinks is hard to say. Let's say he's average overall.
It's like when you said the Bears suck. It's like the Bears don't suck.
Yeah, and I don't mean that when I say they suck, I mean they suck compared to like what most people think they are.
Yeah.
They're gonna be. You'll turn back into Denny Greens. They are who we thought they were. When it all comes down to it. So I'm going to take the better quarterback. I'm going to take the better just overall team, the better coach. Even though, look, I love Mike Macdonald.
Mike Macdonald is awesome.
He's done a great job there, and Seattle's defense has done a great job. Maybe you think under here. I've taken a lot of unders lately and done pretty well with them.
Eventually, yeah.
If I had to pick, and I'm not making this a best bet, but I would take Rams. I would probably take under, but I don't love it, and I'm just looking forward to watching this football.
Thursday night games tend to go under anyways.
UBN, San Fran can still get the number 1 seed, and someone else could get the first steak that my wife cooks tonight, but it's probably not going to happen. Randall says he'll take Seattle. Earl says he hopes Seattle wins. I actually hope the Rams win. I just don't like Seattle. Charles says Rams by 3. UBN says go Seahawks. Earl's picks looking forward to Saturday night's game. Bears versus Packers. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Charles says Darnold sucks in playoff type games. Last year didn't even need to get to the playoffs before he stunk. What did the Vikings start off like? I don't know, 13-1, and they kind of choked towards the end. Didn't they choke away the division of Detroit?
They didn't choke it away. They were neck and neck with Detroit all season, and Detroit just beat them straight up in the game that mattered most.
That means choke it.
I will say, and you mentioned a stat earlier about this quarterback class being bad. I saw a stat earlier. I believe every quarterback that's been taken in the first round since 2020, maybe, has been benched at some point, which is just an absurd stat. And I think it highlights my point from the discussion
not counting this year,
many months ago.
Not counting this year.
Not counting this year. I think it highlights my point from a discussion months ago. That
CJ Stroud never got benched.
Then maybe it was 20. You're right. Maybe it was later then. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Maybe it was. Yeah.
I mean, you just got to get. I will say this.
He might be like one of the only ones.
He might be. All right. Well, Pick'em Friday's coming up. Looking forward to it, and I know y'all can't wait to because y'all are just on a roll, and I am not on a roll. But didn't have a terrible week last week, but I don't know. We'll see. All right. See you Friday. Sounds good. All right. Before we go off the air today, what did I? Oh, I know what I wanted to say. I wanted to say, we had our first merch came from. I'm going to raise this up. You see it right there. That was our first merch. I mean, you can't really buy it. You can't buy this. Rainy Cajun made this with his 3D printer. So that was the first something with a Dattitude logo. We've had some gifts and donations. Musette sent me coffee, and then a bunch of y'all are sending me money, which is very helpful. I'm not too ashamed to say that I don't love the money because we need money because I don't have a regular income anymore. But my wife gave me this. She gave me an early Christmas present, and I hope there's more to come. I'm not going to say that I was spying on Santa and trying to find out what Santa. I'm just saying that I think maybe there's more that stuff coming. But I wanted to show this. This is pretty cool. It's kind of blurring out against the green screen. I guess goldish. There's some green in my dat colors. But these are stickers. And she got me a pack of stickers. You can see how many are in there. Not a ton. But I thought they were pretty cool. I'm very excited. So this will definitely, when we do merch, we're definitely going to go with, try not to cut my face off. We're definitely going to go with some stickers. What do y'all think? That's pretty cool. Thankful to my wife, Drea. Hopefully we'll get some more of that kind of stuff going forward. And look, we're working on it. Charles Mangus likes it. Well, I'm telling you, merch stuff coming up, membership coming up. Gabe told you about this the other day. We are working on how to start probably a Discord. And if you don't know what Discord is, you can look it up because I'm still not really 100% know what it is. Earl, thank you. Mal, thank you. Very nice. I was fired up about it. Breaking on 3 is reporting that LSU offensive lineman Carius Kern is hitting the portal. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people hitting the portal. I'm telling you right now, go bet on Houston. Houston's going to wax LSU's ass in the bowl game. That's my opinion. Next live show, as you see it, you could subscribe. Why haven't you? If you haven't yet, if you're watching us on Facebook, I love you. I appreciate you finding me on Facebook, but the Dat family lives on YouTube, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to it if you haven't already. But you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Jim Derry Jr. And Wednesdays are a lot of fun. Today's guest day. It's our last guest day show of the year. Next Wednesday, we're taking off for Christmas Eve. The Wednesday after that, it will be a tape show. It will be a look back to all the great shows that we had in 2025. I know y'all love. I know your favorite. Maybe I'll do a top 10. Should we do it as a top 10 or should we do it month to month? Yeah, like go back January, February, kind of like a history book chronologically. I know what the number one show would be for most of you is when I had to eat a crow po' boy on a Saturday. Yeah. If you're not a regular here, you might not know what I'm talking about. UBN says, there it is. UBN says he might need a sticker to get a tattoo on his other calf. He's got the Cubs logo on one calf. Hey, man, I think you should do it. Tom, we there's an idea. We always get great ideas from our listeners. Gabe, dumbass of the year. Who's the dumbass of the year? I mean, we have dumbasses of the week. I mean, we probably need to have a dumbass of the year. We've got a few candidates. I can go back and find them. Maybe I'll do a little dumbass segment. When will I show those shows? That's going to be on New Year's Eve. We're going to do a compilation show. I don't know 100%, but Tom, you gave me the only problem is sometimes I got to go back and Gabe doesn't mark those in the chapters. So I might have a harder time finding the dumbass. We need to start putting those in the chapters, Gabe. From now on, when we have a dumbass, and we haven't had a dumbass of the week. The last dumbass of the week we had was like 2 weeks ago, and it was on a Monday. Most of those ass clowns, they don't come back. They just disappear into Netherlands, not to the Netherlands, into the Netherland, into the space, into hyperspace. Like sometimes I don't even think they're. I know they're not bots. They're like real people, but they're like. What makes people want to be trolls anyway? That's a whole different story. UBN's clown mask. I don't know. I mean, yeah, dumbass of the year. That's gonna be a tough. Like even if I found them all the time, I don't know how. It would be tough to find who the dumbass of the year is. Maybe I'm the dumbass of the year for taking up for Derek Carr. I mean, there could be a lot. You know, Randall. He ain't right about a lot, but he was right about that one. Brian Esteve, dumbass of the year. The guy that said Mike Detillier didn't know what he was talking about. I forgot about that. There's so much crap I forgot. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through all of these, though. You know, it takes a long time. Let's see. When you go back and look, and I don't know for sure, but I think we were on show something like to start the new year. I know it was in the 2s. I think we were on show like, I don't know. I'm going to have to go look. Let's see. You know what? Live TV. Live TV. No, you shouldn't do this on live TV, Derry. You're going to get some kind of back feed or some kind of crap. But I am going to do this on live TV. Okay, here we go. The first show of last year was on January the 3rd, and it was Dattitude number 327. Larry Holder was our guest, first show last year. So 327. Now I'm going to do Shaw math in the air. This ought to be dumbass of the year. Can't even do math. We've done 125 shows. This is the 126th. The 126th show of the year, and we have 4 more. So we'll do 130 shows, 130 full shows in a year. It's hard to go through 130. I mean, is this a real question? Are you UBN wants to know, for those who can't see the show and you're just listening, and thank you for still listening 2 minutes and 6 seconds in. You are a true diehard, my friend. UBN wants to know, is he a nominee for Dumbass of the Year? I'm just going to say that you're a perpetual nominee. Like, even if something happens and you're not here for a year, I would still nominate you for Dumbass of the Year. Tedder says he's going to make a mallet putter cover like those. Man, we got all kinds of ideas. Kyle Sherman will not be a candidate for Dumbass of the Year. Hello, Dattitude family. John Late is going to catch up later. We thank you for that. You know, maybe you're right, Charles. Charles says have a figure of a troll. Maybe we can have a troll. Gabe, remind me of this, that I'm saying this. We're going to have, to make the Dumbass of the Year, we have sirens, confetti, and a troll in the middle. Jump. You know those trolls with the heat miser orange hair, like sticking out, that used to be a puppet? Yeah, that. Like jumping up and down like on a pogo stick. That is going to be our Dumbass of the Year thing. Write that down. I'm gonna make some kind of meme of that. Brian Esty says we should name the ward after you. It's the Uncle Big Nick Dumbass of the Ward. He could sponsor the Dumbass of the Week and Dumbass of the Year. He's going to be a sponsor soon, so we'll give a shout out to, Regis Radiator Service, the best place to take a leak. There's your free shot of the day. But the Uncle Big Nick Dumbass of the Year award. Y'all got me going off on a tangent. We're supposed to be off the air by now. We could make a whole show on a Dumbass of the Year. We've had so many. All right, Gabe, we may have I don't know if you're going to have any time, but if you do, let's start looking back and trying to find Dumbass of the Year candidates. That is going to be fun. That's absolutely a segment on the New Year's Eve show. Mr. J. Hamilton says a gold cheese grater. There's so many things I could do with that might get me in trouble. I mean, we're independent now, so we can pretty much say what we want, but I still got to have some coof. I don't have a lot, but whatever it is. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up for us on this Wednesday. I want to thank our guest, Mike Detillier, of course, Gabe Henderson, and you and all you potential dumbasses of the year. We hope you can join us next on Friday when we welcome in Zach Ewing, as we always do on Friday, and the Pick'em crew. We only have a few more Pick'ems left. I mean, Pick'em crew, there's only 3 Saints games left, so I'm assuming that as long as Zach wants to come on Friday, he's welcome. We'll see what he wants to do. But again, the Pick'em crew Friday. Reminder, again, you see it on the screen. I've told you multiple times. Please subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. I don't know how to beg any more than I've already begged. Yeah, that's what you do. You beg, please. Tell your friends. If your friend wants to be Dumbass of the Year, there is still time. I mean, everybody's got some dumbass friends, okay? Go find them. Tell them to come on the show. Type in a comment. Maybe they'll get the award. Who knows? You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. Sean wants the Dedication of the Year award. We can have all kinds of awards. Any old Joe says you should have the guy from Happy Gilmore yelling, "Dumbass!" We got all kinds of just. Last prediction. Ron Hendrickson said Seahawks at home, 27-24. He hates the Rams. I think that's a little high score in there, Ron Hendrickson. 17-14 might be a better number. Ron hates the Rams. I have nightmares about the Rams because those damn helmets from when the Saints, back in the 70s, when they just used to kick the Saints' ass all the time. Other than that, I don't care. All right. Time to go. I'll give you all a big salute. We will see you on Friday. Until then, take it easy, my friends.